This production is brought to you by the University of Edinburgh.
Hello, and welcome to an interactive introduction to MATLAB. This screencast will look at using the for loop in MATLAB. A for loop is used when you need to repeat a series of commands a fixed number of times. We will look at a couple of simple examples to explain how this works, and these will be completed within a script file. We therefore need to create a new script file, which we will do in the normal manner by adding comments at the top before we start on the main script. For this example, we will not define a variable dictionary because we will be using different variables for the different examples I will be demonstrating. I will explain as I go what the variables represent. In the handout, you will have seen an example of a for loop which simply prints the numbers between 1 and 9. We can take this example a little further by calculating 5 raised to the power of numbers between 1 and 3. Firstly, we define our for loop. Then, define the loop counter variable, which we will call k. K will change every time we go around the loop. What will change for this example is the power which we raise 5 to. Because we want the power to start at 1 and go to 3, we set k as a vector, starting at 1, moving in steps of 1, and finishing at 3. This means at the first iteration of the loop, k will equal 1. On the second iteration, it will equal 2, and on the third iteration, 3. The loop counter is now defined, and we move on to inputting the command which we want the loop to execute, adding a variable called myPower. This will equal 5 raised to the power k. I won't add a semicolon to this command since I want to see the returned values for each iteration of the loop. With any type of loop, it is always best to close the loop by adding the end command to the script. We will now save the script by its given name, forloop.m, and test it by running in the command window. Now we have run the command, we can see the first iteration of 5 to the power 1 returns the correct answer of 5. The second iteration returns 25, and the third 125. This is a very simple example of how to create a for loop. The second example we will study uses the for loop to define a new vector. In the previous example, we altered only the value of the power for every iteration of the loop. We can carry out the same task but assign those numbers to a vector. This change is fairly straightforward to carry out. Simply return to the body of the for loop, use the round brackets after myPower to add the loop counter variable k. Running the loop again produces a vector. Initially, the vector will only contain the element 5, then 5 and 25, and finally 5, 25, and 125. That concludes the examples of how to use the for loop in MATLAB.
This production is copyright the University of Edinburgh.